So our last reader, I have a lot that I could just sort of like say about how wonderful I think Dawn is, but I'm going to read her bio because it sort of says it's like a very impressive bio. I'm just going to like tell you what a great creative mind we are in the presence of. So Dawn Lundy Martin, essayist, poet, and conceptual artist, is author of 3 books of poems, including most recently, Life in a Box is a Pretty Life, and 3 chapbooks. She is currently at work on Good Stock, forthcoming from Coffee House Press, and a hybrid memoir, a tiny bit of which appears as the essay The Long Road to Angela Davis's Library in The New Yorker in December 2014. Martin is also a co-founder of the Black Took Collective, an experimental performance art/poetry group of 3 who came to my undergrad when I was an undergrad, and I ran into my friend right before it and was like, want to come to a poetry reading? And then we went to this Black Took Collective performance, and my friend was like, what are we? And I was like, well, it was a little different maybe than a normal poetry reading. Fun fact. And also a member of How Do You Say Yam in African, the global artist collective that withdrew from the 2014 Whitney Biennial to protest the museum's racially biased curatorial practices. She is our Associate Professor of English here at the University of Pittsburgh.
Hi, I didn't know that the, oh hi Corey, I didn't see you in the background. I didn't know that the bios were supposed to be funny. Funny. I mean, it was an option, but I didn't know that I should do that. So I'm just going to read actually from 2 parts of my new book, and the first part I'm reading mostly because it's a correction, I had a long piece published in Bomb magazine a couple months ago, and they screwed it up completely because it's actually kind of like separate pieces, and they forgot to demarcate that this is happening, and so it just appears as this essay, and so now I just go around obsessively correcting their mistake in an OCD way. So there are the title or heading or whatever is We Believe in Regarding the Nature of Being, and then I'll pause between each piece. The rinse. Because a bracket bent in V toward sun, whereas legitimacy of this witnessing, Lacan's first core loss, and the recognition of oneself. My head into lamb's breath, black breath could be a noticing of marking or slashing. How am I going to be your dog if you keep asking me questions? I could just crawl around with my tongue hanging out. Would you like that? In kindergarten, a girl called me. A smell of doctoring, witch hazel on a girl's face. All souls are lost. I know this. If I crawled on the floor, it might feel like home. Grate upon jagged grate. Can you feel that? As if we're lungstone when we say breathing or air. Winter. To trace a life is to trace nothing at all but accumulation of events which themselves are not things. Mother, where are you? What questions burn the edges of your heart? I see the wrought iron cage you've spent so many years carving. Careful attention to one's own insignificance in God's hands. God's little bird, pale day, crest over, walk into leaves, mother in her house of leaks. Roof tumble. In haze of light, shackle light, what in the world is this missing? What exists in the deep ways of broken things? Having been always before and after everything, without limits of time, as if in existence without attachment, untethered from happenings rooted in temporality. The body is made of many arches and windows. Enter this structure, the entrances to the many houses of God. And yet, each morning a fire heart grief in the body coming out of sleep. The listening to the smoke as it fills and weeps inside the chest, choking strength out, hands weighted, dangling. We wonder where else it lives before it fills the body up. We assume it comes inside through the hole that promises invasion. This layering of forms pushes the body toward abstraction. We have stolen madness from the white people. An Asian white man calls us a crazy bitch in a text, but we have long done been free. Coffee is brought to our body bedside on a silver tray. We are unrepresentable. We sip into the grief mouth. They said there are rules to attend to in washing and wearing of the jumpsuit, which is the color of the walls in my childhood room. The owl in our mouths cannot say oust or out. The crying elephant. The crying elephant. The boy says, I was completely depleted of vitamin D and drank Purell, hand sanitizer, and instant Kool-Aid just to feel something. The way of Athena, her wolves at her feet. You roll over, catch your persistent breath, the minutia of a hello. The old people don't like it, but we like it because we live there as ourselves, enacting imprint selfhood. To record our worst things, to heave into a hole too small for a body. How the promise is destroyed. God is dead, life goes on. All the small things like dust, the big things like starving. I'm going to tell you now the smallest flower. It's called Wolfia globosa, or water meal, and it's green. It floats on the water in clusters. You've seen it. But if you have a problem looking at certain textures, you might get sick looking up close. It's edible, especially in Asia. So I have this, part of this new project is to rewrite this experimental opera that I wrote for How Do You Say Yam in African. So I'm rewriting it. So it was originally, they were like, write a libretto, and then I wrote some poems. And then they were, and so now I'm like, they're like, oh, write a book of poems. And I'm like, how do I make this libretto that is actual poems into other poems? So this is the new project. And actually, I was doing a reading at St. Mark's Church in New York, and I read like the drafts, and then I read like the first drafts, and then like the rewrite. But given our time situation here, I'm just going to read the rewrite, which will be out actually in Poetry Magazine next month. It's called Our Wandering, and it has an italicized moment at the front end, which is not actually a quote, it's just someone talking. Our wandering. If they would only beat us, if they would only beat or shoot me, but they wanted soul substance to harbor that like that, so I could never move from this place. So they reach cracked hands inside and hold it for raking. We in a ship rustle, the way and ramble and camaraderie brown hand of whose mother makes its smooth noise over my mouth. The burden of saying something, a head nodding, and I want to be inside of your knowing. Who laid their head on the disappeared's pillow? 1 minute a person licks your ear, the next you cannot see your own white breath. We gotta head on over to the party way out in Bushwick because we're lost and our flesh is on fire. There's a man walking behind us and growing. This is what I tell him. I am not a black in anyone's black. I'm not a black in a black body. I will not kowtow to your opposites. I am not a boy in anyone's body. How the world blisters you. How hunger left you statued. One falls past the lip of some black unknown where they say time ends. We got us a sugar mouth, a bit feeding, walk in circles in circular rooms built so precisely for our shapes. Hold the figure that is the body that is, of course, me. I stroke the feather that feeds me, that lines my cage floor with minor luxuries. I say mama into its wanting, sugary mouth. What is the difference between ash and coal, between dark and darkened, between love and addiction on decal at 2 a.m. and I fall drunk from a ruinous taxi, already ruined from before. The absent weight screams into your breath, you are no good. The space between I and it, lolling. The Abibio man was not born in his cowboy hat. Even his throat must ache like tired teeth. Look at what I'm holding. Not desire, but infinite multiplicity, the mouth of existence. To sing the blue song of longing, its webbed feet along jungle floor, what of our mechanical arm, our off melody, purpose in the gathering, I know, dear self. It rains and we think God or we think universe. I say portent across the wind. When wind is wrought, whole song fallen from its lips, some black unknown where they say time ends. What speech into hard God breath, just as night park is godless. What of a silver cube in the mouth? This is our wandering. Thank you.